Hey guys, so Robert and Gus here. We're about to do another Return to Ravnica draft, and despite some of our problems last time, we decided to try again with the beta client. So there's a bunch of things we like with the beta client, so we will pause here for a minute until the rest of the people join. Oh, Ashdale is the rare. Okay. And so this time we wanted to also make sure we get the screen maximized and the card size is adjusted so that everything looks good. I think here, Ashdale, it's like not worth enough to be rare drafting it. So I think our choices are pretty much a stab wound versus a slime molding as the, or possibly dramatic rescue as the best cards in the pack. I'm going to say probably stab wound. The fencing ace is certainly a good card, and a lot of I don't see Skyline Predator get played much, but it can be pretty solid. One of the reasons here why I want to take the stab wound is there's just not much other Rakdos cards in this pack,
and we're sending 3 populate cards down line, so it'll be hard to get something back in pack 2, and we'll start getting cut off if all 3 of them jump in down this line.
And here, the obvious pick is going to be the Hellhole Flailer. Oh, this is a tough choice potentially between the Hellhole Flailer and the Augur Spree. One is a good win con, the other a removal. Let's see, other good cards in this pack. The Void Wielder, obviously. And we talked in a draft earlier. Oh, go ahead and reserve, I guess, the... Yeah, probably reserve the Hellhole Flailer. We talked in an earlier draft where sometimes you are Grixis. It's more likely to be Rakdos splash blue, and a Void Wielder might be one of the reasons that you wind up splashing a blue, especially as a sideboard card if you know there's a good populate deck or whatever. The Inaction Injunction, certainly playable. The Common Bond is about the only card. The Common Bond and the Fencing Ace are about the only cards that the Selesnya and populate decks are going to want out of this pack.
They don't want Horncollar's Chant and Drudge Beetle, but they'll take them.
And this will be an easy Street Spasm. If anybody is actually playing Izzet, they'll have the Static Caster. If nobody's playing Izzet, it is possible for the Static Caster to wheel, and there's nothing else that we're interested in for our deck in this pack. And if the Izzet Static Caster wheels, we would certainly we take that. We might splash again. It's another card we might possibly splash blue for, just as a kind of an alternative removal plan. It doesn't generally fit with Rakdos, an aggressive Rakdos deck, but so far with just the Hellhole Flailer, no Chain Walkers or Street Thugs or whatever, it's not clear that we're going to be super aggressive here.
Although that is kind of the point of Rakdos, and we're going to need some quick.
The Hover Barrier is also another great card for a lot of the Azorius and Izzet kind of control decks. A lot of people just kind of forget about it. It seems boring, but a 0/6 wall does block an awful lot of things.
Especially one that flies. Hey, there's something. Another Street Spasm.
Yeah, we have both Street Spasm and Lobber Crew. I think, again, we're just taking the Street Spasm here. And I would probably, for this deck, tend to take the Lobber Crew of the Dagger Drome Imp, but it's debatable.
Yeah, I like that one much more aggressive than Lobber Crew, but Rakdos tends to lose on not being able to block, and Lobber Crew does allow you to block.
The Azorius decks will be happy to pick up a Skywatch. And the Izzet decks will be happy for the Lobber Crew that we're passing here. And the Izzet Keyrune, if someone's actually playing Izzet, somebody might take that. But most of the rest of this pack, there's nothing really exciting.
Great. We're getting shafted.
It's between. Well, I think it's actually between the Trader's Instinct versus it's either the Trader's Instinct or we're hate drafting. The Sewer
Shambler's Swamp Walk is pretty good.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking. You said I was thinking Catacomb Slug when you said Shambler.
No. Swamp Walk and Scavenge. It's not terrible. I'd still take that over the Trader's Instinct. Trader's Instinct, good, but
yeah, and I think at this point, so go ahead and reserve the Shambler. passing the ooze and the root-borne defenses is going to be potentially very problematic for us, and we just have to hope that with our removal that we'll be able to maybe get rid of the ooze in response or something like that.
Or stab wound it.
There's not a whole lot for us here. The only card that is here, though, we will take. The Deviant Glee is fine. We do need to get
creatures.
And specifically to make the Deviant Glee good, we need like a Splatter Thug or other creatures that just make it particularly awkward to block. But Splatter Thug is generally my favorite. The Golgari decks or Selesnya decks will be happy with Stonefair Crocodile. It's just another, they can just push dudes out. Another inaction junction for the Zorius decks.
And bad removal is still removal.
Yeah. But again, nothing really exciting. So it doesn't. One thing you watch out for is like, do you feel like you're passing a better deck than you are taking? And so far, wow, Gorehouse Chainwalker. So far, it does not feel like we are passing a better deck than what we're taking, and especially now.
It might have felt like it the first 3 picks, but then all of the populate dried up, other than that root-borne defenses.
And seeing here now, getting a Gorehouse Chainwalker, what is it, like 6th pick or something like that? Tells 7th pick. Yeah, tells us that we are probably in the right colors, because we weren't seeing much of the Rakdos cards, but maybe it's just because they weren't there.
We can get some late pick Gobble Brutes. Hey, there's the Lobber Crew.
Yeah, and we are passing Doorkeeper.deck again. We had a draft that we were recording the other day where we had some technical difficulties and we lost it, where we wound up drafting Doorkeeper.deck, and it was Doorkeeper.deck can be very frustrating to play against. The Sewer Shambler and the Sluiceway Scorpion will be, some players will be happy to see them. I don't know if anybody's playing Izzet and it's going to want the Essence Backlash or not. And I don't know if anybody's actually going to snap up the Doorkeepers. So there's nothing, again, super powerful here. But wow. Not what we expected to see.
Okay,
I think at this point we are probably going to... the Electrickery is fine. We'll probably see another one. And I don't care that much about taking it. So I think we're hate drafting either Fencing Ace or Courser's Accord.
That wheeled all the way around. This is what we started with.
Yeah, this is pick 9. So I'm scared more of the Fencing Ace probably than the 6-drop.
Okay.
Because we did see some common bonds and some other pump spells and whatnot. So, and a second Fencing Ace. Wow.
They both wheeled. Something weird going on in here.
And the Fencing Ace it is conceivable if we wind up 3 colors that we could play Fencing Aces. Here,
Racketeer,
we're not likely to have enough flyers to care about the aerial predation, so people downstream of us are welcome to have it. Yeah, we'll take the Racketeer here. And this is a point at which, like here, we'll take the Survey the Wreckage. It's a sideboard card, but also just you get to a point here towards the end of the pack where just for signaling purposes, you don't want the people downstream of you to see cards in your color, even if they're bad cards. Wow.
Slitherhead. What's going on in here? And we'll just take the beater just because.
And let's go ahead and start moving cards to the sideboard here. The Axebane Stag and the Island. We go ahead and move the Fencing Aces. I don't think we're going to be splashing white, but we'll remember that we have them.
Yeah, white's...
Ooh, we opened a great card for our deck. Carnival Hellsteed will be a Windmill Slam for this deck. And the rest of this pack is pretty blah. Unless the Codex Shredder, if somebody is doing Doorkeeper.deck, Codex Shredder will get to them and is definitely annoying. The Gatecreeper Vine, the Selesnya deck will be happy to snap up.
Well, apparently not, though. I mean, stranger things are wielding.
Yeah, so the Golgari Key Rune is fine. The Selesnya Sentry is fine. The Electromancer is fine. Inspiration is fine. All these cards are just kind of fine. Just nothing exciting in here. So probably like the second best card in here is the Key Rune. Maybe after that the Trader's Instinct. These are all these cards are just kind of blah. A Sphere of Safety actually can sometimes work against certain decks, but is always a sideboard card. There's enough decks that can win potentially without attacking, right? It does nothing against Doorkeeper.deck and a number of other
things.
Make
a Hellhole Flailer big enough and it won't matter anyway.
Alright, and this has a bunch of crap for us. Minotaur Aggressor is sort of playable, but not something you really want. The Sewer Shambler is the best card for us here.
Unless we want to hate a Guardian or a Healer, and I don't really think we need it that badly.
Yeah, at this point, when we talked about hate drafting before, we mentioned you have to kind of figure how much you care about your opponents having those cards, and some of that's based on what you've seen go by. The Axebane Guardian and the Centaur Healer, they're certainly good for the decks that wind up getting them, but we haven't seen really amazing populate cards, or we haven't been passing like some amazing Selesnya decks, so we're less afraid of them right now, and we'll take the card for our deck.
Or we thought we were passing some moderate ones, and they all wheeled.
Yeah. So, aside for the Soulsworn Spirit is okay for the Azorius Detain deck, but it's just it's pretty slow and is dies to any removal. And we are sitting here with double Street Spasm.
Cryptborn Horror.
And Cryptborn Horror is one of those things that is sometimes amazing and sometimes worthless. In our deck,
if we can get it down at 3/3, it'll be good.
Oh yes, so it has the potential to be amazing in our deck. So even though it is it's an up and down card. Some cards are either amazing or crap, with very little in between. And you play them for the times that they're amazing, and there's sometimes dead cards in your hand, and you still risk it.
If we can't deal any damage, we can't play it. But
the rest of this pack, the Skyline Predator and the Vassal Soul for the Azorius decks, the Savage Surge and Giant Growth for some pump for the Golgari and or Selesnya deck. But once again, nothing in here.
They must be going Golgari because nobody's really showing Selesnya. The Selesnya cards just keep wheeling like mad.
Well, and in particular, there's no cards in there that we were really disappointed to pass. The Rakdos Ragemunt is fine for our deck and probably what we want. And the Daggerdrome Imp and Cobbleroot and Trader's Instincts would also be fine. Here, finally,
we have a little bit of Scavenge that would up the value of the Daggerdrome Imp, but.
And so finally in this pack we're passing a couple of things that other people actually want. The
Azorius Defenses again.
Another Reborn Defense and the Azorius Charm. But nothing... the based on what we've seen so far, I'm not worried about an Azorius deck, so the Azorius Charm bothers me less. The Rootborn Defenses is more worrisome in a way, but it's going the other direction this time. So hopefully it doesn't wind up in the hands of person who has all of the populate cards. Also, I should mention it would have been a valid to consider taking the Daggerdrome Imp and hoping that the Rakdos, the black and red card, wheeled because of being
because
two colors.
Of color consideration. Yeah.
However, we passed an Augur Spree much earlier, so it seems unlikely.
Did not make it back around.
Yeah. So in this pack, I think it's Grim Roustabout for us. And the Eyes in the Skies is
a good hate draft, a good second pick.
Yeah, and
nothing else.
Yeah, most of the rest of the stuff is just kind of unplayable.
Although somebody will take Mana Bloom.
Yeah.
Every other turn they'll have one more mana than us.
Yeah, in our last draft somebody took Mana Bloom and played it against us, and it was a little weird how they used it. But they ramped into some early values.
I almost don't want to take it so that somebody else is playing black because we already have two.
Yeah.
And I almost want to take that just to make this a jank deck and throw them on the fencing aces.
Yeah, but it's pretty clear here that we're going to wind up with we're going to have 23 cards in just a 2-color deck. So we don't need to play. And because we took the fencing aces, we're less worried about the Ethereal Armor and Sphere of Safety deck. We should mention also Dynacharge is sometimes playable.
Good finisher. We're kind of Still creature light though, so it's not good for us.
Well, Dynacharge is one of those things. Generally, it works with tokens. Ugh.
We have some Lobber Crews.
Yeah, we'll be taking the Lobber Crew here. Jared's orders can be really good because obviously anytime you have a bomb creature in your deck and at least one scavenge guy, and if you're playing green and black, you should have at least one scavenge guy. Then Jared's orders is great because it doubles your chances to get to your bomb and lets you dump a scavenge guy in the graveyard.
Also of important note, the way it's worded, if you only get one creature, it goes into your hand. So if you're not playing scavenge, just get one creature, put it into your hand.
And obviously the value on something like that is less if you have if you don't really have guys you want to tutor for.
Long legs.
Yeah, this is an easy...
Or the Revenant, actually. Flyer.
I'm not a big fan of the Revenant. The potential where you just get stuck with it on top of your deck. And hold on, let's do a cost sort in our cards down at the bottom. Everybody convert mana cost. And I think we're fine taking the Golgari Longlegs here. We don't have much at the high end. We can actually put the Survey the Wreckage in the sideboard. That's a sideboard card.
Anything else down there? No, not really. Okay. Yeah, we did our first draft with something over here.
So, amazingly enough, I'm actually happy to see that the Codex Shredder came back. That indicates to me that we don't have an annoying mill deck out against us. So because it came back, I'm willing to pass it again. Because so nobody's playing the mill deck.
Take the Fog?
Yeah, I think here we take the Druid's Deliverance.
Oops.
This is interesting. Will we play Minotaur Aggressor or not? Or do we want to take a Drudge Beetle or Grizzly Salvage? It seems unlikely that a Minotaur Aggressor makes our deck.
Yeah, we've already got 3 creatures that cost 5 or more.
Yeah, with Carnival Hellsteed, which is just a better
2
aggressor.
of them already have haste. I say we take the Beetle.
Okay. And here,
Savage Surge. Terrace Worm, sort of good for us, but not really. It's either the Surge or the Sanctuary.
Yeah, go ahead and take the Savage Surge. Hopefully we're fast enough that something like the Sanctuary doesn't really matter. We'll actually take a Cobble Root here.
Even though there's a Giant Growth in the pack. Still.
And Tenement Crasher is much more likely to be played than the Minotaur Aggressor. The difference between 6 and 7 is big.
Why not?
Yeah. Go ahead and put the crap stuff in the sideboard. That and the Racecourse Fury that we just picked up. Racecourse Fury.
Which might be cited in.
And we open an Archon of the Triumvirate. Early on in drafting this set, that card was really good. And now, over time, people realize it can be a little bit slow when it dies to enough things. It's not as kind of windmill slam as it seemed at first.
We do not have very much flying defense, though.
Yeah, it's possible. So, unfortunately for us in this pack, there is nothing we want for our deck. I mean, we can take a Grim Roustabout, which might do because we don't have that many 2-drops, and this deck does need 2-drops. But the Grim Roustabout is kind of so-so. And we could very well be better off to be hating on either the Archon or the Trostani's Judgment, which are actually the best cards in the pack. The Sunspire Griffin and Centaur Healer are also good. We obviously we're not going to play a second Tenement Crasher. We might not even play the first.
I think it's the Judgment. The Judgment's more likely to get played even than the Archon.
Yeah.
So if we're hating, we'll hate the more playable card.
Yep. Oh, and we do have the Fencing Aces, too, so the potential if we need more removal to...
Just go into white, yeah. Wow.
Again, just Stone Cold nothing for us. I don't think we would play 2 Slitherheads. I would almost be looking here to say, like, well... And we don't... the Viashino Racketeer is another thing we don't really want to play 2 of. I don't think. We might actually be looking at going 3 colors with a white. And so I might actually be saying here the Cellar of Songbirds or the Swift Justice. as something that we might actually play rather than looking at it as a hate draft.
Yeah, Cellar. I mean, we've got enough green or white to throw either one of them on the side as our third color.
The only reason for the Swift Justice would be because of the fencing is. But yeah, I like the Cellar again to keep it from going into the hands of the populate player.
And the Centaur Healer is a good pick, but we're not that scared of it. It has to do with the deck that we are playing right now.
And the Cellar is not strictly a hate draft because there's a possibility we actually play these white cards.
And I think I just crashed it. There we go. All right. Laughter games?
Well, this is an easy pick, obviously, for Assassin Strike for us.
I know.
And the other good cards in this pack are the Sunspire Griffin and the Hussar Patrol. The Tower Drake and Inspiration are very playable for the decks that get them. Cobble Brute, again, is okay. Works well in, as we discussed in our last videos, works better generally in Izzet decks. Say with Pursuit of Flight, which we haven't seen any of.
We might put our Deviant Glee on him.
Yeah, that is quite possible. And he does work well with the Swift Justice, which we didn't grab. But yeah, we'll take the Assassin Strike there and be happy. We have no gate to turn on the Jailbreaker, and the Rakdos Guild Gate is in the same pack as the Jailbreaker.
But there's a Dagger Drum Impair, and we need 2 drops.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a pretty easy pick for the Dagger Drum Imp. Because of the current situation. Card evaluations obviously are always based on
in a perfect world, we'd take the Jailbreaker and get a Guild Gate in the next 11 picks, but you can't count on that. Spawn is also actually kind of good for our deck, but we're already heavy on the high end, so we can let it go. If it comes back around, maybe we'll throw it in.
Yeah, I mean, we would potentially replace the Rage Mutt with the Spawn, depending, but it looks like we're actually not the super aggressive. Amazingly, we're Rakdos, but not super aggressive. We did not get it?
Why not? Are you kidding me? I reserved it.
You clicked on the Spawn. We were.
I did not click on the Spawn. I reserved. Oh my god.
All right. Do we want a Thrill Kill Assassin or the Shred Freak?
We want both. Damn it. We have 0 time again. It's the client.
Go ahead and double click on that Thrill Kill Assassin.
It doesn't matter.
All right. And now I think this time then we'll go ahead and take the Shred Freak. At the very least, the card that we took by accident is in our colors and reasonably playable. It's not the pick that was good for us, but it's not.
But it was not the one that we chose when we had clearly chosen a card. Thank you, Wizards.
I think if you've been right-clicking and saying reserve, if you just single-click on a card, it reserves it. And I think what happened was you were moving your mouse over it and you accidentally clicked on it. You didn't double-click, but just a single-click reserved it, time ran out, and it took it. We'll check it on the next pick. Don't right-click to reserve, just single-click to pick. So this time just, do we want that? Yeah, see. So you accidentally because we were talking about it, and you moved your mouse over it and accidentally clicked on it or something. So now actually, do we want the Dagger Drum Imp over a Slum Reaper? We also only have, we've got a couple of 4-drops, a couple other 2-drops. Now we only have the 1 4-drop. We don't have a lot. Well, we have a few Scavenge guys, so we can sacrifice our Slitherhead or one of our Sewer Shamblers to a Slum Reaper. It can also be, the Slum Reaper can also be good if they have enchantments like Arrest or other things that are making you want it, or a Stab Wound of their own. For you to be able to get rid of your own guy is sometimes valuable. Here, I think we'll actually take a Batterhorn for the sideboard.
Seeing as how we already have a Survey the Wreckage for the sideboard.
You really like that right click. Just click on the cards. I mean, just click once to reserve it.
There.
At this point, I think we have enough stuff that I don't know if the Tavern Swindler will see play in our deck. That being said, I don't think we care to hate draft any of the rest of these cards.
Not really. Possibly the guard, but we can get around him.
Yep. So with that said, just taking the cheapest card, to even if we don't play it, we don't want our opponents to have the cheaper cards for fast aggressive decks. Slitherhead came back. I don't know if we'll play 2 Slitherheads, but I don't think we want anybody else to have Slitherhead. Or we take the Swift Justice because we're an aggressive deck and we don't like the first strike and lifelink.
We don't like the first strike.
And as potentially an aggro deck, having them gain life can be annoying.
Well, we did pass 3 Centaur Healers. Somebody took the basic land.
Yep.
No, they just didn't load. Okay, there we go.
No, we're hating the Hussar Patrol here.
Sure. Yeah,
So
we've already got a Tenement Crasher.
Yeah, it's by far and away the best card in the pack and should not be here this late. So.
Savage Surge.
Yep. Wow. Again.
Like I said, we can go 3rd color green on simply our pump hates.
Might as well rare draft.
If you say so, Gus. At this point, I'd say the Viashino Racketeer would be worth more. And what basic land are we getting? Oh, Mountain.
Alright, guys. We'll pause it for a sec here and get our deck all laid out for you. Alright, guys. So here's how we've put the deck together. This should be a lot of pressure for our opponents. We have 18 creatures, very creature heavy, and our non-creatures are 4 removal spells and a pump spell. So, anything you want to point out in particular here, Rob?
Well, just to look at the sideboard, we could go a 3rd color white or green, and we did that basically on hate drafting. The green would give us 2 more pumps. I think that would be the only thing that we'd actually throw in.
I figure actually
maybe the Beetle.
Yeah, if we were to
white would be a much better choice though for a 3rd color.
Yeah, because mainly for the Tristani's Judgment, just getting another unconditional removal spell, especially instant speed. And if we're running into something that's all like an Azorius deck that's all flyers or whatever, because our Street Spasms won't hit flyers.
That is correct.
So we might have to consider that. Also, we do have a Batterhorn, which we'll bring in if we see like annoying artifacts,
like Street Sweepers.
Yeah, we had surprisingly, our opponents in our last draft played Street Sweepers. Not something you see very often. All right, so I think we are good for now. Let's add some lands here and submit the deck.